Hi, this is Sastry Sagi. Welcome to System Databases. In this section you can learn about system databases. The resource database is a read-only database that contains all SQL Server system objects. This system database is not displayed in the SQL Server Management Studio Object Explorer, so users may not be aware of it. Interaction with the resource database is indirect, through master database system views and functions that reference these objects. Because the resource database is read-only, it is only modified by the system when a SQL Server hotfix, service pack, or upgrade is installed on an instance. The resource database is installed only with SQL Server 2005 and higher. The master database records all the system-level information for a SQL Server system. This includes instance-wide metadata such as logon accounts, endpoints, linked servers, and system configuration settings. In SQL Server, system objects are no longer stored in the master database. Instead, they are stored in the resource database. Also, master is the database that records the existence of all other databases and the location of those database files and records the initialization information for SQL Server. Therefore, SQL Server cannot start if the master database is unavailable. The model database is used as the template for all databases created on an instance of SQL Server. Because TEMPDB is created every time SQL Server is started, the model database must always exist on a SQL Server system. The entire contents of the model database, including database options, are copied to the new database. Some of the settings of model are also used for creating a new TEMPDB during startup, so the model database must always exist on a SQL Server system. Do the created user databases use the same recovery model as the model database? The default is user configurable. The MSDB database is used by SQL Server Agent for scheduling alerts and jobs and by other features such as SQL Server Management Studio, Service Broker and Database Mail. For example, SQL Server automatically maintains a complete online backup and restore history within tables in MSDB. This information includes the name of the party that performed the backup, the time of the backup, and the devices or files where the backup is stored. SQL Server Management Studio uses this information to propose a plan for restoring a database and applying any transaction log backups. Backup events for all databases are recorded even if they were created with custom applications or third-party tools. For example, if you use a Microsoft Visual Basic application that calls SQL Server Management Objects, SMO, objects to perform backup operations, the event is logged in the MSDB system tables, the Microsoft Windows application log, and the SQL Server error log. To help you protect the information that is stored in MSDB, we recommend that you consider placing the MSDB transaction log on fault-tolerant storage. By default, MSDB uses the simple recovery model. If you use the backup and restore history tables, we recommend that you use the full recovery model for MSDB. The TEMPDB system database is a global resource that is available to all users connected to the instance of SQL Server and is used to hold temporary user objects that are explicitly created, such as global or local temporary tables, temporary stored procedures, table variables, or cursors. Internal objects that are created by the SQL Server database engine, for example, work tables to store intermediate results for spools or sorting. Row versions that are generated by data modification transactions in a database that uses read committed using row versioning isolation or snapshot isolation transactions. Row versions that are generated by data modification transactions for features, such as online index operations, multiple active result sets, MARs, and after triggers. Operations within TEMPDB are minimally logged. This enables transactions to be rolled back. TEMPDB is recreated every time SQL Server is started so that the system always starts with a clean copy of the database. Temporary tables and stored procedures are dropped automatically on disconnect, and no connections are active when the system is shut down. Therefore, there is never anything in TempDB to be saved from one session of SQL Server to another. Backup and restore operations are not allowed on TempDB.